Alright, so I'll give you a walk around on the Ford Maverick here. This is that first generation. They are on a mid-cycle refresh here. But I'll give you a walk around. This is the Lariat trim. You do have my dog that has joined on this adventure, and she is a demon of a creature. We will talk about the paint on the Ford. I don't know if this is kind of Ford across the board, but the paint quality seems to chip and come apart pretty easily. I'm not remembering where any of those chips are right off the bat, but there are a couple spots where the paint is missing. But we'll kind of give you a walk around on the Ford Maverick. This does have the spray-in bed liner. And this is the hybrid trim here. Hope that gives you a good visual. You've probably seen many Ford Mavericks at this point. I don't think the camera's necessarily going to pick it up, but there are some things that would say cheap vehicle. Those things are going to be body fitment to the panels. So the main one that I'm referring to is going to be the hood there. So the hood and this fender just don't align particularly well. So it kind of recesses down deeper, and then there's really large, quite large kind of gap there. So just kind of lazy manufacturing, lazy fitment. Same thing over here, sits and recesses down. Lucy, you're not getting in the vehicle. You do have blind spot monitoring. The mirror will light up if someone's in it. Works pretty well. Obviously still be smart about stuff. But yeah, I do tow a jet ski basically every weekend during those kind of warmer weather times, and it does a perfectly fine job. It is something that I want to talk about. The backup camera on here gets dirty and nasty really quick. I almost have a habit of cleaning it all the time, and I think that's just something with probably trucks as a whole. But I've noticed compared to cars, this backup camera is always smudged, always has something on it, never super visible. And then I will talk to you about this. So the sensors do think that the hitch is indeed something I'm about ready to hit. So when you're backing up, it's not all the time. I would say most of the time it's not a thing, and it kind of gets used to having it there, and then it ignores it. But initially when you put the hitch on, and if you're just going to leave the hitch on for most of the time, because I'm not going to bother putting it back on there every time I go to hook my jet ski up when I use it, right? It kind of freaks out about that when you're reversing. It just kind of thinks you're going to hit something. I will talk to you about the connectors. I think the connectors there are different than you would normally see, but they are the same kind of connectors that you use for something small like a jet ski, which is nice because I think they kind of know with this vehicle it's not doing serious towing. But yeah, I'll kind of talk to you about the back. You do have the attachments here, which is kind of nice. You've got some tie down areas as well. So you have some tie downs there, if you can see that. And then you do have a 120 volt, 400 watt max kind of outlet there. You can see that it's illuminated, saying that it is indeed working. You do have a bed light, which you can turn on from the inside or out here, I do believe. Which is nice. And then you've got some hookups here if you want to wire something into it. You have another hookup there if you want to wire something electrical in. And then you do have this additional little storage, which has a 20-pound max. So if you want to put something that's 20 pounds or less, you can do it, and then it locks away like so. This is I do use this as a bottle opener. I don't know if that's actually what it's supposed to be, but kind of nice. Spray in bed liner is nice. I think a $500 option. And then, like I said, capacity here is a little over 1,200 pounds as far as like filling this up with mulch or something like that. And I do like that there's tie downs. I like this little connectors. It's pretty nice. It's the kind of truck that 99% of the people that have trucks actually need. But, you know, trucks are kind of become like sports cars in the sense that they are not practical, they are not useful, they are something someone wants, for a lot of guys out there, right? And that's totally fine. I don't have an issue with it. But this would be more in the line of having a little bit of towing capability, especially with the mid-cycle refresh. They really have done a lot to the mid-cycle refresh, some that I expected, right? The larger the better infotainment center. I expected that stuff. I kind of just, you know, that's how everything's going, and I think they were gonna see how well it did, increase the price a little bit, give it the better infotainment. I think it was already developed when they did the truck. I think it was made for it from the beginning with the inside layout there, like I talked to you about. And then I don't think you really want to see inside of here, to be honest, but it's a double pull there, which I actually like the double pull. I think BMW does that as well. It is old school in the sense that oh, that's one other issue I forgot about. Kind of a weird issue, apparently common on Ford products. These came unconnected, so the sprayers for the windshields stopped working randomly, and then we're probably just spraying into the engine bay, basically. But yeah, apparently something common on Fords, because when I brought it in, they weren't surprised at all. Maybe it's common on the Maverick. Maybe it's common on all Fords. I didn't ask them. Yeah, I mean, here's the engine bay. Pretty boring. It's I believe it's a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, and yeah, boom, very exciting. I know, just like looking at a sports car. But yeah, I mean, I'll talk to you about the back. This is something you lose out as far as from a practicality standpoint. What do you think, Lulu? You ready to head down the road? Yep, I know. But anyway, from a practicality standpoint, you have the gaining of the bed. So if you want to move like you know, a lot of mulch or some gravel and stuff like that, or maybe you're moving a dresser or whatever you're moving, you have some of that practicality. Now, something no one really talks about with a truck is obviously you don't have trunk space. So a lot of stuff that you would say not want to get, you know, soaking wet, right? That you don't want there in the bed. So I have lots of paperwork, I have lots of other stuff in the vehicle. Now this is seated behind myself. I could definitely go up more. I'm sitting pretty far back, or if you were a shorter person, you can probably see that there is indeed some dog spit there on the back, as yeah, and you can see little wear like that as a little bit more visible. Nope, Lucy, leave it, leave it. But yeah, pretty tight. Now, Lucy, you do have a normal outlet back here, and then you have a USB and a Type-C, which is nice. But yeah, this is, you know, I've also got a barrel down there where my feet goes, so there's a gun down there at the moment. But yeah, coming up, I am going to do a review, not on the rifle that's in there. Yeah, but we're going to start moving before my dog really damages my paint. Nope, leave it, leave it. No, leave it, leave it. You're all right. Come on. But yeah, I'll kinda, I mean, you do have a little bit better ground clearance with this versus kind of a car. Now, I have made this trip in a car, but you have to make it kind of you have to move more gingerly as you drive along. With this, you don't have to be kind of as careful with what you're doing. You have that better ground clearance. And then if you do, I will say the updated, or maybe they have it on it normally, but the Maverick trimmer is actually pretty capable if you're doing more like off-roading type stuff. Now, I wanted the MPG, I wanted the practicality, was kind of what I was wanting from this vehicle. But I do really like the Maverick trimmer. I think it's pretty cool, and I think it's actually got some pretty good capabilities to it, right? Because it's got, so you can lock the power, you know, to where it is actually sending power to the rear. It's still all-wheel drive versus four-wheel drive, right? But you've got some It's basically the clutch pack from a Ford Focus RS, if you're familiar, which is a pretty good clutch pack. You can lock it to where power is indeed going to the rear there, and then you can also lock the actual rear diff. The advantage of doing that is just that it will send, you know, lock them up, you know, kind of similar to where a mechanical locking diff would, and it gives you that better, you know, better capability. But I kind of find it funny because I'll be watching like a Ranger Raptor review on YouTube, and some of the time they're doing a road like this, and it just kind of makes me chuckle, because I'll do this in a Maverick, right? This is just a gravel road that's kind of rough. All you need is a little bit of, you know, something that's not really low to the ground, and you're good to go. I will talk to you about the ABS since we had that opportunity. The ABS in this system does get confused really easily here. And I noticed this particularly when I'm going over like a bump. I think it's because the rear is, you know, a lot lighter in a truck system, front wheel drive as well, so it doesn't have any of those other components. So yeah, the ABS gets confused pretty easily. I mean, I've never experienced that even in, like, you know, my first car was a 97 Honda Civic. The ABS in this feels less sophisticated than a 97 Honda Civic or anything that I've ever been in my entire life. Okay, but I mean, just something I've notated. It does have wireless charging. The wireless charging is pretty much useless for something like a phone. Now, I still like the wireless charging, not for my phone, but it will indeed charge my headphones. But if you want to charge something like a phone, it almost doesn't seem to make a bit of difference. It just seems to kind of keep it at the battery level that it's at. You might gain 3%, 5% on a longer drive, something like that. Maybe you get lucky, get 7%. Not what I consider particularly useful, and I think the telltale way to kind of predict if the wireless charger is indeed just a gimmick or something that's actually going to be useful from a phone perspective is how does it do? How does it do when you put it there? Is it really quick to kind of actually do something, or is it kind of very slow? Let's take a look at this, see what we're dealing with. You're all right, Lulu. Yeah, so a little bit of a slide there. That's a new development. Yeah, but don't even know what I was talking about. Kind of distracted from that new development. But yeah, I mean, I think that's everything. That's the first generation Ford Maverick. I think it's a very practical kind of truck that really works for what most people kind of think of as a truck. And that's what I'm talking about. You know, you can get a kind of more normal Maverick, which is not, you know, it'll get the 2-liter with a turbo. You'll have better power, better torque. You're going to lose out on the efficiency factor. But if you're not driving a ton, you know, I don't think the MPG is really that important unless you're doing a lot of miles. But yeah, you that's everything. Like I said, if you wait a little while, I'll be doing another review. If you're into firearms, I'm going to be doing a review on a P226 X5 Legion SIG. Just be a tabletop review, not going to be doing any shooting, but just kind of a couple things that I think are interesting, some things I like about it, some things that I maybe don't like about it so much. Luce, you thinking about going down there? Does that look interesting? All right. But yeah, I'll kind of let you go. That's everything.